Hey, Darren.
Hi, how are you, Ian?
I'm fine. How you doing?
Great. What's going on? How are you? What's happening for you?
What's happening? Oh, loads of work, loads of things. I've been busy for the past 2 days.
Doing interviews all day?
Yeah.
Cool. Do you love interviews, or do you just like them a little bit?
Sorry?
Do you love interviews, or you just like them a little bit?
No, I don't. I love interviews. Great talking about what you do for a living.
Well, right on to that. But here's my main question. Okay, what is it, do you think, that makes people love Judas Priest and be diehard fans, 3 decades into a career?
Oh, I don't know. Sense of humour, maybe? I don't know. I mean, we've always been around. We've always been current, apart from, obviously, the hiatus that we took when Rob left. And we've always tried to stay abreast of the times, stay modern, embrace new technology. And like I say, to stay current. We've been appealing to young fans, I mean, all through our careers, even shows now. I mean, you'll see the odd fans which are sort of our age, but there's the majority of them are still young, they're still young, I don't know, between 15, 16 years of age, to 30, 35, something like that.
And speaking of that, now, I don't know, are you into a lot of modern music?
Not really, no. Obviously, I hear it, listen to it all the time, but I can't say I'm a fan of it, although, having said that, there's a lot of merit there, and it has a lot to offer. And at the end of the day, when you take the masks away, take the makeup bullshit away, you've still got the heavy metal music at the end of the day, which is good news for all of us. I mean, they're carrying the music forward for everyone,
Sure.
And there's no reason why we all shouldn't continue.
Because the interesting thing I found, one of the most popular bands, Weezer, said that they hope their next album sounds like classic Judas Priest. Lit has their picks, their guitar picks designed with the old Judas Priest logo. The Donnas, the Super Suckers, Sum 41. These are a lot of bands that have all recently covered Judas Priest, and it's led to a real resurgence. Now, what do you think of that? Are you at all bitter that they're not covering modern stuff, or do you just take that all to pride?
Well, yeah, it's very flattering when that happens. It's a good honour when somebody thinks your material's good enough to cover. Yeah, there's no reason why they shouldn't do it, as long as they don't fuck it up.
Have you heard any of these covers that you particularly liked?
I can't say I have. No, one of the few. I mean, Skid Row did a version of Heart of a Lion. That's a song that never even made one of our albums, And there's been tribute albums out there where bands have, you had the whole albums of other bands doing Priest numbers. The majority of it's excellent, by the way. Performance is great. Yeah, we've heard some. Yeah. And
have you ever seen the American Hi-Fi video for Flavor of the Week, where they do a takeoff on the movie Heavy Metal Parking Lot?
I haven't, no. This is the first time we've been to the States, really, since the last tour. So we're not familiar with current TV shows or radio stars, at the moment. I dare say we probably will, though. Scott's probably seen it in the team.
Oh, okay. Well, what's a typical day for you that's off the road and out of the studio?
Off the road and out of the studio?
Yeah.
Do you really want to know? That's pretty boring.
Well, even so, like, what does someone like yourself like to do?
Let's see. I mean, when I'm off the road, I mean, I spend a lot of time away from my family, So when I get home and I've got time to spare, I like to spend it with my kids. I mean, my oldest boy, he's 22 now, and he's got a band of his own called Gravel. So, I'll go down to the rehearsals, go and see him play. And then I've got my daughter, she's just turned 10. And she's a huge soccer fan, so we go to soccer games together. And, you know what I mean? Go into the laundry and go shopping and, get your dinner out of the freezer and, all the...
Well, what do your kids think of your music?
Alex, yeah, my boy, yeah, he was brought up on it, He thinks it's terrific. And I mean, the band he's in now, all his colleagues, they like heavy metal too, not just us. I mean, heavy metal in general, My 10-year-old's rather indifferent. She'd rather listen to, Westworld or Ice Girls, or S Club 7 or something like that. She's not into heavy metal. And really, some of the lyrical content of the new bands, it's probably wise.
As kind of with your son, you are finding a great reaction to Demolition amongst a lot of younger people?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it's a very modern sounding album, There's no reason why the younger audience shouldn't be impressed by it.
Are there any tracks on it that are your favorites to play, or that we should really be looking forward to hearing on the upcoming tour?
Let's see, songs. We'll probably be doing possibly 4. You can't really do much more than that because, obviously we've got an enormous repertoire, and for every new song you put in, you've got to knock an old one out, and every time you do that, you piss somebody off.
Yeah.
So you got to be very careful. So it'll be any 4 from possibly One on One, Machine Man, Hell Is Home, In Between, Feed on Me, possibly Lost and Found. It'll probably be any 3 or 4 out of that. Although, we've learnt it, we know all of them, obviously, there's Subterfuge there as well, there's Bloodsuckers, that can find their way to the set list.
So it sounds like you love and are very proud of the whole new album.
Oh yeah, it's a great sounding album, yeah. We put a lot of time, a lot of thought and effort into it, as we always do,
How would you compare the sound of it to stuff from your original 5 albums, per se?
Well, it's similar in as much as there's a lot of versatility on this album. There's not just the heavier and the faster material. There's also the slower passages, the acoustic passages, and of course there's a couple of ballads on there as well. With Jugulator, if there's one criticism aimed at Jugulator, it was that there was none of that on that album. It was a very in-your-face, brutal album from start to finish, But Jugulator, you see, was a natural progression from Painkiller. And like I say, with every album, you see, we like to take a step forward. We like to stay abreast of the times, even ahead of them. Now, with the 7 years between Jugulator and Painkiller, there's at least 2 albums missing there. So instead of one step, if we'd have taken 1 step forward from Painkiller, for instance, it would have sounded dated. So we had to take 3 or 4 steps, hence the direct progression from there. Painkiller in itself was a very heavy album. That just leads you straight to Jugulator. And like I say, the only criticism on Jugulator is that there wasn't any of these more subtle passages, which we decided to rectify on Demolition. And I think it's a much more complete album because of that.
Okay, and how would you compare your live show, per se, in 1982 to 2002? What should someone who's never seen you before be expecting?
They can expect what we've always done. We go on there, we give at least 100% every night. We throw out as much energy as we ever did, even back in the 70s, even all these years later. We're still a very, 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 very powerful act,
Even being together since the 70s, what do you see as being your biggest accomplishment, if anything? Or what makes you most proud, Ian?
Probably the first album. I know it wasn't, production-wise, it was no flagship, but there's nothing like that feeling you've got an album on the shelf. You can take your girlfriend and your mother in and say, hey, look at that, that's us. We made it. We actually got a record out on the shelf, and that is a very, very proud feeling. That is, it's never to be relived, really. That instant, when you realise that you're a signed act, because then it's a career suddenly. It's not a hobby or anymore. It's a career. It's just a great feeling, that was.
Do you feel that your new DVD for the album British Steel, do you think that it really captured the vibe and the feelings of how it went? It wasn't really meant to portray how it was recorded. It was just a storyline of how it was. It wasn't. The studio scenes have got nothing to do with the recording of the album, but it was about the content more than anything else of the album and some of the special effects that was done. And I thought it captured it
quite well. It was a classic album. There's no doubt about that.
Thinking about things a little bit, the movie Rockstar was based on the story of how Ripper came into the band, although they changed it. Did you ever see the movie, and if so, what did you think about it?
Yeah, I did. The movie was on the plane on the way over, actually. The first time we've had, we've been on tour since June, so we just haven't had a chance to get out and see it. But some of the storylines very accurate, the two girls with a tape and Ripper singing Wahlberg singing in a choir and all this business, and the audition. All that was comparatively accurate for Hollywood. But the rest of it was pretty much fiction. It was all it was all fabrication. The rest of it. When it first came about, it was all based on a piece in the New York Times about Ripper joining the band, and they bought the rights to that storyline. And initially they started to, the pre-production conts that they put out on the internet and stuff like that. They were saying then that it was the story of Ripper, Owens and Judas Priest. So our guys within our management decided, well, if they're going to do a story about this, do a movie about it, it might be worth meeting the rest of the guys and finding out what they're like if they're going to be portrayed by actors.
Yeah.
And suddenly they didn't want anything to do with that. I think they wanted to keep sort of artistic license. I think they wanted to keep that totally within themselves. So they didn't want anybody else telling them this is right, that's right, that's wrong, whatever. And I think at the end of the day, we're probably better off without it. From that point onwards, it wasn't the story of Judas Priest anymore. It was just some generic 80s band, based on the Ripper story. I saw it. There's some great music on there, great players, great performances. But the storyline, I don't know. Parts of it are realistic, parts of it ain't,
Right.
Parts of it's pure Hollywood, backstage parties and things. Okay, they happen, yeah, but not, it's not like a Hollywood epic. Hail of some of the stuff that was on there, and it's a shame really, because when they do that, it makes it unbelievable. Nobody would believe you're going to get that many people in a hotel. You know what I mean? And it is a pity. And maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see that. Maybe some other production company will take heart and say, oh, okay, let's improve on this. Let's make a more realistic one, Although, like I say, maybe with other bands, maybe it happened like that, but it certainly didn't happen with us.
Okay, hope so. And 3 more questions, if you don't mind.
Sorry?
3 more questions, if you don't mind. I know we're running a little low on time here, but for someone that were to ask you about ever reuniting with Rob, what would you tell them?
Well, you can never have a closed mind about anything, at the moment, Rob's back to doing heavy metal. He's doing what he does best, and he's having success with that. And we're obviously committed to going forward with Ripper at the moment, and we're having success with him. And that's as far as it goes at the moment, He used to say in 10 years' time, it's, do a retirement album or something. But at the moment, I think Rob and ourselves, we're both committed to doing what we're doing right now.
Okay, and so where do you see yourself 2 or 3 years down the road?
Probably still on the road the way things are going. They keep on just adding more dates.
Well, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely right, yeah. You've got to work for a living. 2 or 3 years down the road, obviously this cycle would have finished, we'd be looking at the next one, I should imagine. So we'll probably either be in the studio or recording the next album. It's difficult to say, we're still in the middle of the Demolition project, so we don't look forward really until that's wrapped up, because your energy, and your concentration has to be on the task at hand, which obviously is the tour at the moment.
Okay, and finally, Ian, any last words for the kids?
Yeah, I think we're coming through Long Island, aren't we?
You're coming to New York City February 15th.
February, that's right. Yeah, come down and see the show. You're in for a surprise. Great.
Okay, excellent. I will be there. Now, I was wondering if I can ask you for a quick favor.
What's that?
The quick favor would be, could you say, hi, this is Ian Hill from Judas Priest, and you've reached Darren's voicemail. Can you leave a message? Something like that?
Darren's voicemail, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure, whenever you're ready.
Hi, this is Ian Hill from Judas Priest, and you have reached Darren's voicemail.
Okay, thank you so much. It's an honor, and I can't wait to see you guys.
Pleasure, Darren.
Okay, take care.
Bye, mate.
Bye.
Paltrocast.